Hari Om. Welcome you all to the next session on the operating system course. We are currently in module 1. We had already discussed a very brief idea on what is operating system structure, what do you mean by operating system operations, and what are the four major functions of an operating system. We discussed like what is the role of process management, memory management, storage management, protection and security, how protection and security is included in all these managements. All we discussed in our previous sessions. In this session we are going to talk about the operating system structure, which includes the services, user interface and operating system interface, system calls, etc. So we are getting into the details of operating system structures that comes in the chapter 2 of Schilbert's textbook. The operating system structures, any operating system, if you take for that matter, provides the environment within which programs are executed. So if you want to execute any application level program or any system program, you need the operating system as the base environment on which the program will be executed. And the operating systems obviously vary greatly in their design and implementation. So the design and implementation is what I mean by the makeup here. Okay, now when I say the design and implementation, the design and implementation is completely based on the goals of the operating system, right? So it is important that the goals of the operating system be well defined before the design begins. So the design of the operating system is completely based on what kind of objective, what kind of goal you want to have for that particular operating system. So the goals that you are going to decide will form the basis for choices among various algorithms and strategies, because you have lots of memory management algorithms available, process management algorithms are there, storage management algorithms are there, and different strategies are being followed for the protection and security. So you need to choose any one of these algorithms for the design implementation of your operating system. So you need to set up a goal for your operating system, and the goal is completely based on the choice of the algorithm that you are going to choose. Suppose, say for example, if it is going to be a server kind of operating system, the memory management technique demands the paged memory management algorithm, right? So you need to implement demand paged paged memory management algorithm, or sometimes segmented demand paged memory management algorithm. So that is the algorithm you will choose for the server operating system. Whereas if it is going to be a simple embedded operating system, you are not going to have multiple processing. So you can go for a simple memory management technique like single programming environment or a partition memory management. That is more than enough for a simple embedded operating system. So what algorithm you are going to choose will decide the goal of the operating system, and it must be very well defined before you begin the design process of the operating system. Now, if you take the operating system can be viewed from this many number of points, right? So the viewpoint of the operating system obviously varies. The based on the services that are provided by the operating system, it will be viewed, or based on the kind of interface that we are going to design, it will be viewed, and based on what kind of components and their interconnections that you are going to use, based on that you will decide how the operating system will be designed, right? So we can view an operating system from several points. one view of the operating system is based on the kind of services provided. Another view is based on the kind of interface that we are going to use. It can be user interface or it can be operating system interface. And another one based on the components, what kind of components and how do you interconnect those components. Based on that, it is viewed from a different angle, right? So if this is the case, the operating system structure includes these concepts, like what are the kinds of services provided, right? So what are the kinds of services provided, and what are the kind of interfaces that are supported in or that are provided in an operating system, and what are the different components and how do they get interconnected. All these things will be discussed as the base concepts of the operating system structures. Okay, now let us start with operating system services. So this diagram shows one view of the operating system services and how they interrelate. You can observe the different components that are available in the operating system and how do they have been interconnected here. You can see the operating system has the user programs and the system programs on the top level, the application programs and the system programs on the top level. Then we have the user interfaces, which can be a command line interface or a batch mode interface, or we can have graphical user interface through which the application programs or the system programs will be initiated. Then here we have another layer called as system calls. Then below that we have different components like program execution, input output operations, file systems, communication, resource allocation, accounting, error detection, protection and security. So these are the different kinds of services that are provided by the operating system, and all these things together, right? All these things together is what you call as operating system. So in general, so this is what we had seen in the operating system structure. It can be viewed from the point of services, from the point of interface, from the point of components and their interconnection. Now if you observe here, we have user interfaces. So from the point of user interface, you have to think about how the operating system can be designed, and from the point of the different services, you have to think about how the operating system can be designed. And to interconnect the interfaces and the services, we have one very important component called the system calls, and how the user interface will initiate the execution of the programs and how it requires the system calls to get the services of the operating system. So that is what is given or depicted in this diagram. So any application programs need to be initiated using the user interfaces, and these application programs indirectly uses the system calls to invoke the services that are provided by the operating system, and the hardware will be touched by the application programs through these services, and these services are initiated or invoked through the system calls. So that is what is depicted here. Let us see what are the different services that are provided by the operating system. So a set of operating system services provides functions that are helpful to the user, right? You can see here, these are the services which will help the users here, right? So user will retrieve these services using the graphical user interface. Okay, and these services will provide some functions which will help the user to complete their task. One of the operating system services is obviously an user interface. Almost all the operating systems will have user interfaces. You call it as UI. Then it has several forms. We can have command line, we can have graphical user interface, or we can have batch, right? So that is what is given here. So this is one of the very important component of the operating system, the user interface. If it is command line, you know that the text commands and the method for entering them is what you call as command line. All the text commands, right? As you open your terminal in your Linux environment, so the terminal gives only the command line interface. You use only the keyboard and monitor. No mouse is used, no pointing device is used there. Only the text commands, right? So you type the text commands and you press the enter key, you get it done. And graphical user interface, all of us are very much familiar with the GUI interface, which is a Windows system, which is very popular in the Windows operating system with a pointing device like mouse. Then we have batch interfaces also, where the commands and directives will be combined together to control those commands that are entered into a file. So I can say the batch interface is something like your shell program, right? You had already experienced the shell scripts in your Linux administration course. So all the shell scripts that you have created can be called as a batch interface. So you have set of commands or set of directives which are used to control a particular task, and it is completely entered or stored in a file, in a shell script file, and you execute that shell script file. So that contains more than one commands that are required for completing a task, which you can call as the batch interface. And the second operating system service can be called as program execution. Now, whenever I say program execution, the system, the computer system must be able to load a program into the memory and to run that program, right? So when you double click on application program icon, suppose say for example you have Microsoft Word processor, you double click on the word processor, obviously the operating system should be able to load that program from the secondary storage device to the primary memory, then initiate to execute that particular program, right? So that is how the operating system will help in the program execution. And not only that, it should also help, the operating system must also help you to terminate the execution of the program, either normally terminating it or maybe abnormally by whenever you have an error. So all these things should be possible for the program execution in an operating system. So operating system must provide services for loading the program, executing the program, and terminating the execution of the program, which can be done normally or abnormally. Then another kind of operating system services are input-output operations. Obviously, a running program will require, right? So you want to read some data from the user, or you want to display some results on the monitor. This is what you call as input-output. So any execution program, any program which is in execution may require input-output, which may involve a file or an input-output device. But suppose say for example you are going to copy a file, your program is copying the content from one file to another file. In that case, the input output is based on a file. Or if you have, say for example, your C program to add two numbers and display the result, obviously you are going to use the keyboard and monitor. Keyboard and monitor, correct? But what you will do? Any execution program or any program in execution will require input output. It needs the what do you call, the input given from the keyboard and the output to be displayed on the monitor, or output taken to the printer, or a kind of programs like copying a file content will involve both input as well as output as the files, etc. So the operating system must provide kind of services which helps you to control the input output operations. Like it must provide a service to print some content on your printer. It must provide the service to print something on the monitor. It must provide some it must provide, or I should say it must have the controlling mechanism to write something into a file or read something from a file. So all these kind of input output services should also be provided by the operating system. Then you have file system manipulation. Obviously all the programs need to read and write files, or it may want to read the content of your directory or save some files into a directory, or you want to create a file or you want to delete a file. Say for example, if you take the word processor, when you click new button, that means you are creating a new file, right? Or if you take the file browser and if you press the delete key, that means you are going to delete the particular content, right? Or you may have a file browser and you want to search for a particular content, that should also be possible. Or you want to list the directory, right? ls command, you say that you want to list the file content, or you want to list the directory content, etc. Then you need the kind of permission to be given. And not only that, whenever you want to read a file, write a file or execute a file, you need some kind of file permissions given, and these file permissions should also be managed by the operating system. So these are some of the services provided by the operating system. Apart from that, we have communications, error detection, etc. should also be provided by the operating system. So the other kind of services that are provided by the operating system are communications and error detection. Obviously, many circumstances in which processors may exchange information on the same computer or between computers over a network. For example, you may want to say you may be having 2 or 3 processes running simultaneously for completing a task. So by the time these processes will be exchanging the information, say for example, you have like admission portal, and at the same time you have the updated database to be displayed to the administrator, right? So whenever there is a admission applicant or let me say admission registration is going on, so immediately that must be reflected in the executives or in the managers panel also, right? Or it must be displayed to the manager screen, right? Whenever there is a new application coming in, immediately there should be a pop-up message coming to the manager's interface, user interface, let me say. If this is the case, obviously admission application receiving will be a different process, and the manager's user interface will be a different process. So these two processes should now exchange information on the same computer or maybe in different computers over a network. Or you may want to transfer one information to another process, right? Or you may have the output of one process given as the input to another process. These are some of the circumstances in which the processes will exchange the information. So whenever you have this kind of exchange, the communication happens via shared memory or through message passing. So these are the two techniques that are used in the inter-process communication or in the inter-process synchronization. Then we have error detection. Obviously, operating system needs to be constantly aware of all the possible errors that may happen in a computer system. So the errors may occur because of the CPU or because of the memory hardware, or maybe because of input output device, or maybe because of the user application programs the errors may occur. So for each type of error, operating system should take the appropriate action. Why? To ensure correct and consistent computing. So that whenever there is an error happening, immediately your computer systems should not crash down, right? So if there is a memory problem, it is showing you generally. Say when you come across any kind of memory issues in your C program, you get segmentation error, right? So it is actually given by the operating system, right? Or if your application programs abruptly closed, then it shows you like this program is not responding. Do you want to forcefully quit it, or you want to wait? So this is the kind of error message being displayed to the user whenever there is an error happening in your computer system or in the operating system execution. Then debugging facilities should also be there in an operating system. It will enhance the users and the programmers abilities to efficiently use the system, right? So all the whenever, sometimes you might have also come across, like in Windows especially, you might have come across an error and it will ask you, it will show you a debug button. So if you click the debug button, it will open the application program where you can do your editing and or you can redesign the application, right? So that is what you call as the debugging facility. It should also be available in an operating system service. Now, apart from those services, another set of operating system functions exist for ensuring the efficient operation of the system itself via resource sharing. So we had now just seen the kind of service that is provided by the user interface. Then we had seen the program execution, we had seen input output operations, then we had seen the file system manipulation, communication, error and detection, right? So apart from that, you have resource allocation, accounting, protection and security as another set of functions that are provided by the operating system services. So the second set of operating system functions are resource allocation, accounting, protection and security. Now let us see what is resource allocation. We know that operating system is also known as a resource manager. Why? Because when a computer system has multiple users, or when a computer system is executing multiple jobs concurrently, all the computer resources like memory, the CPU cycles, the files, everything must be allocated to each process or to each job, in the same way to each user. So we have many types of resources. We know that CPU cycles or main memory, file storage, these are all some of the resources available, and these resources have special allocation code also, right? Some resources, some computer system resources will have special allocation code, and others will have general request and release code, like input output devices, right? So based on this special allocation code and the request and the release code, the operating system should be able to allocate the resources to a particular user, to a particular program, or to a particular job, and when it is to be allocated, how it is to be allocated, all these things will be decided by the operating system service. Now another service is accounting, right? So the accounting tells you to keep track of which user is using a particular resource, how much resource is allocated to that particular user, what kind of resources are allocated, when it will be released by that particular user or process. Those kind of information is what you call as accounting. For example, when you are running a word processor, when you are initiating double clicking on the word processor, obviously the word processor program will be converted into one process. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ കൺവേർട്ട് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ എന്താ ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്, ദാറ്റ് പർട്ടിക്കുലർ പ്രോഗ്രാം മസ്റ്റ് ബി ലോഡഡ് ഇൻ ടു ദ പ്രൈമറി മെമ്മറി. അപ്പോൾ വൺ പാർട്ടിഷൻ ഓഫ് ദി പ്രൈമറി മെമ്മറി വിൽ ബി അലക്കേറ്റഡ് ടു ദ വേർഡ് പ്രോസസർ പ്രോഗ്രാം. So now the operating system should keep track of how much memory is allocated to the word processor program, right, and which user is using that particular partition. And apart from that, whether this process is using any keyboard, mouse or a file that is stored in a secondary storage device, all these information is what you call as accounting. Okay, then we have the last and final services, which is very very important. We had already discussed what is protection and security, right? So this is one of the most important services provided by the operating system, and some of the operating system provide the protection and security in all the functions like process management, memory management, storage management. ഈ മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റ് ടെക്നിക്സിൽ തന്നെ പ്രൊട്ടക്ഷൻ ആൻഡ് സെക്യൂരിറ്റി വിൽ ബി ഇൻക്ലൂഡഡ്. ഓർ സം ഓപ്പറേറ്റിംഗ് സിസ്റ്റം വാട്ട് ദേ വിൽ ഡു, the functions, the process management, memory management, storage management will be given separately, and on the above you will have the protection and security as a different layer. So it is up to the designer how you are going to embed the protection and security into the different functions of the operating system. Now, the owners of information stored in a multi-user or networked computer system may want to control the use of that particular information. Concurrent processes should not interfere with each other. And only for this particular purpose, we are going to have the protection and security. So, protection involves ensuring that all access to system resources is completely under the control of the operating system. It is completely safe. ഇപ്പോൾ വേർഡ് പ്രോസസ്സറിന് അലക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്ത മെമ്മറി പാർട്ടീഷൻ ഷുഡ് നോട്ട് ബി ടേക്കൻ ബൈ ദി what do you call the media player that you are going to use in your computer system, or whatever songs etc you have loaded into the primary memory, that partition should not be used by your PowerPoint program, PowerPoint application that you are going to run in your computer system. So the protection must be ensured that all access to system resources are completely under the control of the operating system. So operating system is completely monitoring who is using what resource and how it is allocated to that particular user or process. Then security of the system, obviously security of the system from outsiders requires authentication and extends to defending external input output devices from invalid access attempts also. So whenever a particular user is double clicking, so I double click on the word processor, appo what the operating system must do, operating system must first check whether I have the permission to execute the word processor program, or I am going to take the I want to take a printout, right? So I give the print command for printing a particular document, let us say. So it has to first check whether I have the permission to use the printer of that particular system. That is what you call as security of the system, using the user authentication. So these are the different kinds of services that are provided by the operating system. So we have program execution, input output operations, file system management, then communication, then we have the error detection as one set of services, and another set of services are resource allocation, accounting and protection and security, right? Now, so if these are the different kinds of services provided by the operating system, Now the question is how these services can be invoked or requested by the user or a process. So for which we use the interface, user interface or the operating system interface. So several ways for users to interface with the operating system. We all of us are very much familiar with the two fundamental approaches. The first one is command line interface. The second one is a graphical user interface. So first approach provides a command line interface, or you call it as command interpreter, which you are very familiar with your shell interpreter, which is nothing but a command interpreter. It allows users to directly enter the commands. You just type the command and press the enter key. Now the other one allows the users to interface with the operating system via a graphical user interface. This is what you experience in your Ubuntu or in your Windows operating system. You see lots of icons available. You double click on the icon, then you get the application program executed. So the command line interface allows direct command entry. In some operating system it is implemented in the kernel itself, but in some it is implemented as a special programs, right? Especially in Windows operating system. If you see, in Windows operating system it is not implemented in the kernel. Instead it is given as a separate one, as you call it as CMD, right? So you type in the search bar CMD, then you get the command interpreter in the Windows operating system, in the DOS prompt you call it as, right? Or you have Windows PowerShell. Windows PowerShell is another utility program, which is a special program. You call it as utility program. So in that Windows PowerShell you can type all the Windows commands available, right? So in some operating system the command line interface comes along with kernel. Say if you take your Unix operating system, so the Unix operating system has this command shells or the command interpreter in the kernel itself. Whereas if you take Windows operating system, it is something like a special program, special utility program. And the good example is your Windows PowerShell that comes along in Windows 10 operating system. And sometimes the multiple command interpreters are implemented, which is known as a shell, which is generally, you have already come across the shell interpreter or the shell programs that you use on Unix or Linux systems. User may choose among different shells also. So whether you want to have Bourne shell, C shell, born again shell, corn shell, what kind of shell you want, that shell you can have in your operating system. By default, Linux comes with the born again shell, whereas Unix comes with the Bourne shell. Sometimes you also have the C shell. So which one you want in your operating system can be decided. This is a multiple command interpreter available in the operating systems. And obviously the command line interface fetches a command from user. That is what you do, right? So when you have the interpreter, command interpreter, you start typing the command, right? So that is what you mean by fetching a command from the user. And when you press the enter key, it executes that particular command. So sometimes the commands built in, sometimes just names of the programs. Right, say for example, നിങ്ങൾ ഒരു ഷെൽ പ്രോഗ്രാം എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആ ഷെൽ പ്രോഗ്രാം കൊടുക്കും. അങ്ങനെ ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ if you want to open the Gedit is one of the Windows application for editing your it's a simple text editor, window based text editor. So if you give gedit in your command prompt, press the enter key, the program will be executed. Or if you have built-in commands like ls command, cd command, then mv command, these are all some of the built-in commands available. Okay, so this kind of command line interface helps you in the direct command entry. This is a very good example for your command line interface, which is the born again shell interpreter. You can give the commands like ls command or cd command, which will help you, which are the built-in commands, right? So which will help you to perform one task in the operating system, or I can say which will help you to get the services of the operating system. Then the next very important user interface, which we are all very much familiar, is the graphical user interface, the user friendly desktop metaphor interface. Usually mouse, keyboard and monitor will be used for the graphical user interface, and icons, right? So you will have icons like this kind of icon. This is what you call as an icon, right? So this is a Chrome browser, this is a Zoom interface, and this is a word processor. Like that, you have different icons representing the files, or it may be representing a program, or it may represent a particular action in your operating system. And various mouse buttons over the objects in the interface cause various actions, provide the information, options, execute the function, or open the directory, right? When you have the what do you call, the arrow mark mouse pointer, it gives you different meaning. When you have the bar kind of mouse pointer, that gives you a different meaning. So the various mouse buttons over the object will decide what kind of action you are going to do. Now the graphical user interface the graphical user interface was actually invented in the early 1970s at Xerox PARC research facility, and you have many systems now include both command line as well as graphical user interfaces. So this is a very good example for your graphical user interface, but many systems nowadays include both command line interface and graphical user interface, because now I have a command line interface also, I have the graphical user interface also in the Ubuntu distribution of Linux operating system, which I am using in my laptop. The same way, Windows obviously very popular for the GUI interface, and it is also having command line interface with this command shell or CMD shell, then Windows PowerShell. Then Aqua is the graphical user interface in the Apple machines. Apple Mac as operating system as Aqua graphical user interface with Unix kernel underneath and shells available. Then Solaris is command line interface with optional GUI, right? If you want to, Solaris is another operating system where commonly we use command line interface only. If you want to have GUI, you can use any KDE or GNOME environment. So KDE is very popular for Solaris, whereas Linux uses GNOME, not Linux, I should say Ubuntu distribution uses GNOME desktop environment. These are the two types of desktop environment, okay? And both KDE and GNOME desktops run on Linux and various Unix systems, okay? So these are the different environments which are created for the GUI. So a significant development in GUI designs from various open source projects. KDE and GNOME are the open source projects which are available. So you download the Linux kernel, and this open source project you can embed in your Linux kernel, and if you want you can customize all this KDE environment, and you can customize the GNOME environment, and you can release your own distribution of the Linux operating system, right? So these are the kind of operating system services provided as the user interface and the various kind of services that are provided by the operating system. Now the application program or the system program will be initiated using any of this interface. Well and good. Now the question is how this application program gets the services, because when you double click on the application program, you want the program to be executed. If you want the program to be executed, you need the service of the operating system. Okay. Or if you want to do the input output operation, like you want to display something on the monitor, right? In your ഇപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഒരു C program എഴുതുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ you will give a printf statement, right? So the printf statement needs to display something on the monitor. Now if your program is somewhere here, how the service will be requested and how the service will be provided by the operating system. Or if you want to create a new file, if you want to create a new file in your word processor, how it is to be done. So this service must be requested by this application program for doing any kind of file creation or deletion. If so, these services are not directly accessed. Instead, it uses system calls in between. So whatever the application programs want to do, it requests the services. The application program requests the service of the operating system through the system calls. So system calls are going to act as the interface between the application programs and the operating system service. So we'll be discussing what is a system call and the different types of system calls in our next session. Thank you.